we're already live.
Hello.
Hey, I think. Well, we were supposed to have the little intro slide there with the music and stuff, and it didn't happen tonight. Somehow. What is with the hat?
You like that? I figured since you're wearing one, I should wear one too. No?
You folks see what I have to put up with. Let me see. What do we got
You
here?
like my hat?
Well, it says I'm... Okay, I'm looking at this. Making sure we're live here. It says we are. I don't know. It says we are, but it's not showing... For watching. 43
You want me to
seconds
entertain
ago.
us?
I want you to entertain.
Let me
Okay,
entertain you.
I'm not sure what's going on. Let's see.
Subscriptions. Inspired Shepherd.
There. Okay.
We're on.
It's on there. All right. Let's see.
Okay, we got that taken care of.
Hey, Gwen. Hi. It's Gwen said she likes your hat.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Well, hi. Yeah, we can't start anything smoothly. It just doesn't work that way for us for
Makes
whatever
it more
reason.
fun.
Yeah, we never know what to expect. So anyway, but hi everybody. I'm Betty,
I'm Mark.
and together we are the pastors too.
I got you started doing that.
Yep, you did. Well, welcome. If you've been around before, welcome back. We're glad that you see value in what we're doing. And if you're new here, thanks for joining us. Be sure to click the like button down there and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And then share it with your friends, especially those whose lives are touched by ADHD. That helps us get the word out to people who need to hear this content. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any
Your
episodes.
volume is up on that. I can hear it.
No, what it's
Okay.
supposed to be.
So, yeah, in case you missed the message last week, because of my work schedule, because of Betty's health issues and other things going on, we decided we needed to cut back a little bit. And so we are going to do our lives beginning now on the second and the fourth Mondays of the month. So each Monday will be the second and fourth Monday, so that we'll do the live.
Okay, and each Monday?
Each Monday? Yeah, every other Monday.
Each episode will be on the second and fourth Monday. Is that what you were trying to say?
I think I've got it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and so since this is the fourth Monday, actually we were live on the second Monday.
Yes, we were.
We had not exactly decided at that point to switch to this schedule, but
That
it was
was
shortly after
Martha.
that. Yeah, it was. But anyway, so since this is the fourth Monday, we're back. And tonight we're diving into one of the wildest stories in the Old Testament.
Yeah, this guy was pretty wild. His life was, you might say, action-packed.
At least the story that we've got in the Bible. So anyway, strength, check. Hair, legendary, unlike yours.
Yeah, I'd love to have long hair.
Impulse control, not so much.
Yeah, if there was ever a biblical character for sensory-seeking behavior, the man that you want is Samson.
So who was Samson anyway?
He was a judge of Israel. He was chosen before birth and set apart under a Nazarite vow. Do you know what a Nazarite is? The vow?
Not totally. I mean, it was a special vow. I know that, and there were certain things that they couldn't do, and
Yeah, lifetime consecration. You could not touch a corpse, a dead body. you could not drink wine or grapes or anything like grapes, like raisins or that kind of thing. You could not do that. And the other thing is you could not cut your hair. So that was the Nazarite. You had to make that vow. Anyway.
Okay, and so he had supernatural strength because of taking that vow. That was something that God had given him.
Right.
But he also had a bit of a temper and an eye for trouble. Let's just say boundaries were not his strong suit.
But behind the muscles and the missteps, we start to see something that feels familiar. Especially if you or someone you love lives with ADHD.
So, as we've said before, we're not diagnosing here. That's something that we cannot do. As a coach, I cannot diagnose, but I can connect dots. And that's what we're doing here, is we're just connecting the dots. And this week's dots are big and bold.
Big and bold. So let's get into it. We've got 5 traits that we're going to talk about.
Let me find my mouse
first
here.
of all, a little background. Judges chapter 13 is when the angel appears, and her parents were not able to have any children at that time, but the angel of the Lord said, Samson's parents.
Yeah, okay,
his
parents.
Not able to have children, but the angel of the Lord appeared and said, you will have a child. While you're carrying the child, you have to abide by those vows that we mentioned a while ago. No wine and the other things. And so Samson is born. And so let's get into it. Judges 14 then picks up when he is older. Samson sees a Philistine woman, and he says, get her for me. That's trait 1, sensory seeking and poor boundaries. He sees this girl,
I didn't mean to do that.
And that's...
Sorry. I'm playing with the PowerPoint here. All right.
He sees this woman, and he wants her, and he says, get her.
And what gets me is that he was saying this to his father.
Yes.
He was very demanding of his father.
Right.
Get her for me. She's the right one for me. So anyway.
So basically, he saw her, he wanted her, and decided she was the one for him.
I'm
was it.
Figuring out what's going on here.
Okay.
I got to have my mouse in the right place.
Your mouth or your mouse?
Mouse. This thing right here.
M-O-U-S-E.
Oh, hush.
Okay.
So, Dr. Ned Hallowell says the ADHD brain often craves stimulation. Novelty, risk, intensity can become emotional fuel, even when they lead to poor decisions. Samson's pursuit of the Philistine woman isn't just impulsive, it's classic sensory seeking. Now, let me see here. This is terrible because I can't find my mouse. Anyway, it's classic sensory seeking. The ADHD brain often runs toward high stimulation experiences, even when warning bells are blaring. What looks like reckless romance might actually be a dopamine chase. For ADHDers, boundaries often blur in the moment, especially when something feels good right now. So here's a question for you to reflect on. Where do I tend to ignore warning signs in pursuit of something exciting or new? We'll let you think on that. Okay.
All right.
Let's go back to trait 2.
Emotional intensity and dysregulation. The scripture is continuing Judges 14, verse 19, and then into chapter 15, verses 3 to 5. Samson goes into a rage after being betrayed, and he sets foxes on fire to destroy Philistine crops. So he literally
set foxes on fire?
he set the tails on fire. He literally caught 300 foxes. He tied their tails together in pairs and then lit them on fire. What was he mad about? He was betrayed.
Isn't this where his he had gone and married this woman, the one that he convinced his dad that he should get for him, and he went to marry him. They were having a feast. They usually had a 7-day feast, and as part of that feast, that was part of the wedding, the marriage, whatever. And toward the end of it, they were wanting to know. What was it? Oh, he said a riddle, didn't he?
Yes,
he had
he did.
A riddle.
The Philistine father-in-law gave 30 servants to Samson. And so Samson had he had torn up a lion's jaw and killed a lion, and then left it sitting. And when he
is that part of this story, or is that
that's in chapter 14, I think. Is that later?
I don't know, but I don't think it's part of this. It's not part of the
he
foxes
ran across
thing,
the dead carcass, and bees had set in, and he pulled the honey out and ate honey as he was traveling along. And
yeah, but that's not why he set the fox's tails on fire.
No, but that has to do with the riddle, so maybe that's later.
Okay, yeah, that's the riddle.
Yeah, that
was the riddle.
The riddle goes back to this carcass.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm getting our story all mixed up here. So he put this riddle out and offered, I don't know, some money and clothes and some prizes anyway to anybody that could solve the riddle. And so it was his wife, right?
The Philistines tried to get his wife to convince Samson to tell the answer to the riddle.
And eventually he gave in.
And eventually,
toward the end of the 7 days.
Toward the end of the 7 days in the evening, she finally gave the answer, and they were able to come back to Samson with the answer to the riddle. And so that's what set him off.
Yeah, that's what made him mad. There were a lot of instances like this that made him mad.
Things.
So anyway, and so he caught 300 foxes.
Right. He
tied their tails together and set them on fire and sent them off through their
wheat
fields and their vineyards and everything, and burned everything up.
Yeah, destroyed
it all. Mm. So, okay.
So.
All right. Well, Dr. William Dodson says that people with ADHD, let me get that up here on the screen. People with ADHD often feel things more intensely and have a harder time regulating strong emotions.
Yeah.
That would certainly
true
be
in
true
this case. Definitely true.
So, let's see. Emotional dysregulation is a big one in ADHD, and that's what we were seeing here. And Samson's anger episodes are textbook. He doesn't just feel hurt or betrayed. He reacts in dramatic and destructive ways. That intensity can stem from rejection sensitive dysphoria, or RSD, and we've talked about that before, but that's where even a perceived slight feels like a full-on attack. His responses weren't measured, they were volcanic. So, again, here's a question for you to think about. How do I typically respond when I feel rejected, misunderstood, or betrayed? We won't talk about how I feel.
Do we need to go back to the RSV? No. Okay.
RSV or RSD?
RSD.
Okay. Anyway, moving on. Let's see.
Trait number 3.
Get our PowerPoint back up here. Oh, there's our quote. Sorry, and did I not have that on there?
I guess not.
All right. Trait number 3.
Long-term planning and time blindness. Now we're into Judges 16 now. And this has to do with Delilah. This was the third woman that was talked about in these 3 chapters. Samson reveals the secret of his strength despite repeated betrayals. So they were trying to get to Samson. They were mad at Samson for destroying all their crops. And so they were trying to get to Samson. They wanted to capture him so they could kill him.
You see a pattern here?
Yes.
I mean, he's got one woman that he marries.
Right.
Oh, and he was mad too. That was actually what happened. He found out that
His father-in-law.
he had given his wife to like his best man or whatever,
Right.
to one of his attendants.
Right.
And, because Samson had gotten mad and left, and they didn't think he was coming back. And so his father-in-law gave his wife away. They did some weird things back then.
You can take her sister. She's better looking anyway.
Yeah,
he was mad.
Anyway, yeah, he was really mad when he
Yeah.
came back. And anyway,
Right.
so but if you really want to know the whole story, go read those few chapters in Judges. It doesn't take very long.
Yeah, start with 13 is the angel appears and announces the impending birth, and then 14, 15, 16 continues the story.
Okay, so anyway.
You'd think that after the second or third time that she tries to trap him, he'd catch on.
Well, you'd think,
yeah.
especially after the same kind of thing had happened before.
Right.
But she kept asking him.
Yeah,
right?
and he would tell her something, and it wasn't right. Well, one of them was new rope. If you tie new rope around him, then he won't be able to get away. But, he just pulls it apart like it was on fire or something. And there was another one too. And then the third thing was, if you tie my hair into a braid and put it in the loom, then I will not be able to have any strength. And that didn't work. He just
He
pulled
just
it out.
tore the loom up.
So finally, he gives her the right answer.
So, whoops. Okay. And so people with ADHD, this is according to Dr. Ari Tuckman, people with ADHD often struggle with delayed consequences. If it's not immediate, it's invisible. So Samson didn't think too much about consequences.
No.
And so anyway, ADHD time blindness makes it hard to anticipate future outcomes. Samson wasn't stupid, but he was impulsive. He wanted Delilah's approval in the now, and that made the future fade. He gave up the one thing that set him apart because he couldn't stay tethered to the big picture. ADHD brains often prioritize connection over caution. So here's another question. Where have I traded long-term goals for short-term gratification? I think about that in terms of like you said goals. Where have I traded long-term goals for short-term gratification? Some businesses that we were involved in, a lot of times they would talk about the long-term goals and holding that, keeping an eye, your eye on the prize and all of that, and it didn't work for us.
You think that was?
We had no idea about time blindness at that point.
You think that was because of our ADHD?
I do.
I was thinking about that the other day.
I really do. I think that had an awful lot to do with it. But we had no clue. We didn't know
no, not at all.
that we had ADHD.
And maybe the
that was some
possibility
years
of
ago.
autism too.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms.
All right.
So anyway, okay, let's see.
They kept all those long-term goals in front of us, and
Well, they were trying to teach us
Right.
how to do the same thing, to
Right.
keep the goals in front of ourselves so that we would work toward them. And it just, it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't work out.
And that probably has a lot to do with my problem with my jewelry business and the 3D printing business.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tried to do those, which was what led, actually it was the jewelry, I think, that was what actually led to my diagnosis,
Right.
was I couldn't figure out why I couldn't seem to get motivated and to create another collection. And actually, I had the collection created. I just couldn't get the marketing done. And I think I was having a hard time keeping that long-term goal in front of me. So I was trading the short-term gratification, I guess, if you want to call it that, for or traded my long-term goals for short-term gratification or something. Anyway,
That's it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Trait 4.
Moving on. Okay, let me.
Go
All
over
right.
to-
There we go.
Hyper focus on revenge.
Oh,
We've talked a lot about hyper focus. The scripture, Judges 15, verses 7 through 8. Since you've done this, I won't stop until I get my revenge. That totally consumed him. That's all he thought about. He doesn't just get angry, he locks in like a laser.
well, and we need to go back to the story here, because when Delilah got him to finally tell her that the source of his strength was in his long hair, she lulled him to sleep and then had somebody come in and shave his head.
Right.
And he thought he would be just as strong as before. So whenever they,
When they told him that the Philistines are here,
hang on.
you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
ordinarily he would get up and just,
Yeah.
but this time he didn't.
Yeah, they tried to they tied him up, and this time he stayed tied up, and they took him off to prison and gouged his eyes out and made him grind their wheat and stuff. And so he was really, really angry, but he wasn't, at that point he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So let me see here. Let me get, where am I? Okay. Whoops.
There we go.
Okay. So our quote this time comes from Dr. Russ Barkley, and he says ADHD hyperfocus can lock onto pain or conflict, turning a momentary slight into an obsessive mission.
I would say there's pain and there's conflict.
You think? Just a little bit. And so hyperfocus isn't always on helpful things. Sometimes it locks onto a wound. Samson didn't just respond to injustice, he obsessed over it. The line between justice and vengeance blurred. I keep losing my mouse. Sorry. This is often true in ADHD. The emotional wound becomes the organizing principle, driving decisions long after the moment has passed. We have a tendency to do something called rumination. We just we ruminate. We think about things over and over and over and over. And if you throw autism into the mix, it gets even worse. So that's called ADHD, and we may talk about that at some point, but not quite ready to do that yet. But anyway, just a little teaser there. So again, something to think about. What am I still holding on to that may be hurting more than helping? Do you ever latch on to something and just think about it so long and so hard, and it's just over and over until it just kind of consumes you? And that was what had happened to Samson.
And you come back later and say, what was I thinking? I shouldn't have, I should have been doing this instead of focused on that.
You do?
Yeah.
Maybe you do. Okay, moving on to trait number 5. Let's see.
All right, so now trait 5, masking strength and hidden vulnerability. The scripture goes on to Judges 16, verse 28, and this is where he has been taken to the temple steps. There's about 3,000 people in the temple, and
Yeah, they were doing some kind of a celebration or
right,
something, a festival
right,
for their god Dagon.
Dagon, yeah. And there were 3,000 people in the temple plus others, and
Some of them were on the roof.
yeah, they were. Samson said, "Please place me in between these two columns." And so they did. And so he had a hand on each of the columns, and he at this point he still can't do anything, but he cries out to the Lord, and he says, "Sovereign Lord, remember me, please, God, strengthen me just one more time."
We might point out here that his hair had begun to grow back while he was in prison.
So he was getting his strength back.
Yeah, he was getting his strength back.
Right.
So
the Lord blessed him. He pushed against the pillars, and the whole temple fell down and crushed all of those people that were underneath in the temple and on the roof.
yeah, and that included Samson.
Yeah, Samson was one of them. So his final words were not about rage, they were about being remembered.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a discussion about this last night, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so figuring out where we are here. Okay, this time our quote comes from Dr. Sharon Saline, and she says that Samson, or she says, whatever. She says masking is common in ADHD. I get myself mixed up here. It's common in ADHD, projecting competence while hiding how much effort it takes to hold everything together. And those of us with ADHD have a tendency to mask really well. We present ourselves as being a lot more competent than what we feel, I guess. Really.
Is it like a duck in water? On the surface, it looks, smooth and easy and, just the way it should be. But underneath, all of this emotional stuff and everything going through your mind. And
that's probably a pretty good description of it, actually. Yeah. Things going on that people don't see.
Right.
And that's what was true with Samson. He masked his vulnerability behind his feats of strength. That's something I see often in coaching. Clients who look capable on the outside, but are exhausted from holding it all together. In the end, Samson knew his limits. He cried out, not in pride, but in surrender. And there's something holy about that moment. He didn't ask for glory. He asked to be seen. And I see that a lot with people with ADHD. When somebody describes the struggle that they're going through, and they'll often say, I feel seen. They feel like somebody recognizes.
Somebody notices.
They notice the struggle they're going through. And whether they're talking to them, personally, individually, just to hear somebody say it. I see this in comments a lot on videos and stuff, that people, they feel seen. They feel like they, their struggles are recognized. And in death, that was where Samson was. He felt like he was seen. So here's a question for you. This is our final reflection question. And again, I will put these in the first comment after we're done here tonight. Where am I trying to hold everything together on my own? Is there some place that you're trying to hold everything together?
So what if Samson had had a coach?
Well, he might not have needed foxes. Or Philistines. Or a tragic haircut.
Maybe just a little help. Learning how to pause, how to reflect, and ask better questions.
And that's what coaching does, especially for folks who've been told that they're too much or not enough. You don't have to wrestle with all of this alone.
So if you're curious about coaching or know someone who's living that whirlwind life, head over to Betty's website, inspiredshepherd.com.
Yeah, let's talk. No pressure, just presence.
So, as we wrap up, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with anyone you think that could benefit from understanding more about ADHD.
Or anybody that just wants to see us make fools of ourselves.
If they just want to see us, okay.
Anyway, no, seriously, it really does help us. It helps us get the word out. It helps it helps with the YouTube algorithms. They recognize, oh, people like this content, and so
and it puts you up in the search, moves you up.
moves you up, and they show it to more people.
Right.
So
and
anyway.
when you subscribe, then you get notifications
Right.
when we're going to be on. So
Right.
yeah.
Especially if you hit the notification bell and click I think it says all or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, YouTube has changed things some, but they're always changing things. But anyway. So, who are we talking about next time? We've gone through several. Do we actually have anyone left?
We've thought about it. I think we might have one or two left.
You think?
Maybe.
Like who?
King Saul.
Oh, that's a good one. He had a lot of characteristics that could be viewed through the ADHD lens. All right, King Saul it is.
Okay, 2 weeks from tonight. This wraps it up for tonight, but don't forget, 2 weeks from tonight, we will be back on. So the second and fourth Monday of each month.
And we'll talk about King Saul next time.
Sounds
That'll
good.
be in 2 weeks on August 11th.
August 11th.
So we'll see you then.
All right.
All right.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.